there's really only two viable possibilities when it comes to the Brown University mass shooting investigation. Either we're dealing with horrible, just the worst possible type of law enforcement incompetence that I've seen in a very long time, and it's up and down, left and right, doesn't matter. City, state, the school itself, the FBI, everybody's just Keystone Cops, right? Either that's the case, or this is a cover up, a conspiracy. Okay, and when I say that, I want to be clear. Number one, two things to note before I get into the bulk of this. Number one, chances are it really is just incompetence. Okay, I'm not going to be bullish about, all the data is pointing to cover up. No, there's a lot of data. There's a lot of information that does point to cover up, but I would say most of it does point to just incompetence. With that said, the cover-up, I would not say is a grand conspiracy where they're trying to help somebody get away with it. No, if there is a cover-up, I would say it's more of a wokeness cover-up, a narrative. They're trying to cover optics. In other words, they have a victim. Most likely, the victim that was targeted would be Ella Cook, who is the very rare conservative at Brown University. They have less than 1%. I think it's 0.8% of the student body identifies as conservative, and she was one of the most prominent there at the school. So she was targeted, and if she was targeted by, I don't know, say a pro-Palestine, they-them type of person, then yeah, they want to keep that on the down low until when? Well, probably until late Friday or anytime between then and Christmas, because that's when we get into arguably the darkest black hole of news and information spreading across the country possible. The weekend, Friday night, Friday afternoon is always the best time to drop information that you have to put out. You're forced to say it, but you don't want anybody to talk about it. You do it right before the weekend. And then, of course, this being the weekend right before Christmas, you could say that time extends from late Friday all the way up to, we'll say, the day after Christmas. And since that'll be, you could even extend it all the way to New Year's, right? If we have sudden breakthroughs and arrests and all this other stuff, and in that time period, I would say, yeah, it probably was a cover-up. A woke cover-up. Again, not some grand conspiracy cover-up. It's just that they know what the narrative is. They know what actually took place, and it makes the school look bad. It's bad for the nation, for unity, or whatever stupid reasons they want to come up with to hide it from the American people, to lie to the American people. Again, most likely scenario is that this really is just incompetence. But there was one thing, one video that made me go from, I would say, 10 to 20% thinking conspiracy theory all the way up to, I'm at about 30, 40%. We'll say most likely it's just incompetence. But when I see the FBI doing this, okay, doing that, walking around very publicly, very much in front of the cameras, that's the key. This seems like it's all staged. They're standing there, walking through. They're dusting the snow away with their feet. Seems all unified. Seems like proper investigative techniques. Keep in mind, there was no snow following the actual mass shooting at Brown University. Hadn't snowed yet. And it's not like the FBI didn't have time. They were there very quickly. And some reports I've seen, they had dozens, if not hundreds of agents there. Plus, of course, you got Providence Police, you got Rhode Island, you got plenty of law enforcement who could have definitely combed this very small area that they seem to be focused upon before the snow came. And before it's day 3 at that point when they're doing it. This looks like it's theater. Kabuki theater. It's just there to say, oh, look, we're leaving no stone unturned, no snow shoved away with our feet, as if this is actually going to do anything. I'm not going to get into the investigative efficacy of having your agents brushing snow with your feet and looking at the ground in front of the camera, but to my amateur eye, this sure seems like it's all theater. So there's only one thing that keeps me from getting really, truly depressed because as a news hound, as somebody who is immersed in the negativity of our news cycle, pretty much almost every waking hour of my day, the thing that gets me through is, of course, God. It's the knowledge of the Bible, knowing that no matter how bad it gets now, eternity is going to be awesome. That really helps me to stay focused and to move forward. There's another thing though, and that's my coffee. And it is great coffee, and it is a Christian coffee company that I get it from. Promise Grounds. They are fantastic. I truly enjoy the coffee. It is the best coffee that I've ever had. That's not just because they're a sponsor. I've told the story before. I'm not going to tell it now, but it really does surprise me how good the coffee is. Plus, how good the company is. They are fantastic, and you can learn more about them. You can order from them by going to patriot.tv/coffee. That's patriot.tv/coffee. I use Proverbs Roast. That's actually the one that I like. But you might find one. Try a few of them. They do have a Christmas special going right now. Christmas gift set. Great gift. Give the gift of Christian company coffee. Go to patriot.tv/coffee right now. Why else, though? What else is concerning? First and foremost, let's start with the one that the alarm bell for me. The first one, the ding ding ding. Oh, this is weird. It looks like they're really starting to weave a cover up, or at least a delay of information up until Christmas, and that was the invocation, the utilization of the rule of first narrative. Okay, with the rule of first narrative is this: whenever you have a narrative that's ugly, you get ahead of it. You've heard of that. You've heard of getting ahead of it. You get ahead of it by putting out something to the news that's going to then dominate a high percentage of opinions, right? There are still a large number of people today, Americans. We're talking about at least in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, possibly tens of millions of Americans, who, if you were to ask them today about the Hunter Biden laptop, they would say either never heard of it, or know nothing about it, or that it was Russian disinformation. Why? Because that was the first narrative that was put out. It's like, 51 deep staters, I mean intelligence community members say that this is definitely Russian disinformation. Well, that was the narrative that played out. That's what legacy media ran with. And that's what got embedded in people's brains. It doesn't matter if every legacy media outlet out there now admits, oh yeah, no, the Hunter Biden laptop was real. That they didn't start acknowledging that until 2 years too late. And at that point, nobody cares, right? Doesn't matter. So the election's over, long gone. Now it's like, okay, well, I guess we got to tell the truth. Okay. Rule of first narrative is whatever story you break first, that's the one that sticks in a certain percentage of people. 10%, 50%, 80%, doesn't matter. I mean, to this day, we're still hearing about but Trump, and he said that the white supremacists were very fine people. That's been debunked, 85,000 times, right? Doesn't matter. A decade later, that's still stuck in people's minds because that was the first narrative. Well, here, in the case of the Brown University mass shooting, the first narrative was, got a suspect, person of interest. Turns out it's a white guy from Wisconsin. Despite the fact that this person was released, despite the fact that they have come out and said, no, that wasn't the right person, there's still a whole bunch of people, and unfortunately, this is the reality here in America, because that was the first narrative. That's the one that they get hit with. Now, anything else that comes out about Brown University doesn't matter to them. They got that stuck in their head. All right. So, yeah, that was an alarm bell for me, because keep in mind, to release the person's name before arrest, before charges, before anything else, to say, we've got a person of interest in custody. It turns out is this white guy from Wisconsin, probably a Trump supporter. Oh, fools. Us, we're the fools, not them. They knew it was a smart move because they did inexplicably release the name, inexplicably bring the person in, and then let him go the same day. That to me rang the alarm bell. It's like, whoa, they're trying to cover something up. Then we found out, of course, that Ella Cook, found out her history, conservative, prominent, probably very outspoken on campus, probably made a lot of enemies at a campus like Brown University I usually just say progressive or woke or leftist because it all, you can't say, oh, there's the radicals. The radicals are just the normals today, right? The normal, average, everyday Democrat would be considered a radical leftist just 5 or 6 years ago, 8 years ago. Today, they're just leftists. They're just Democrats, right? Well, no, at Brown, they really are radical. They really take the whole, modern day definition of a Democrat and they lurch to the left as fast and far as they can. So yeah, on a campus like that, yeah, it does seem like that it's possible that she was targeted, especially when we look at the other evidence. So you have Mark Halperin came out yesterday. I think he was on Bannon or one of those shows. And he said that he had heard from people who had spoken to the family of Ella Cook that they were told that she was targeted. There's also reports that she was shot multiple times. There are reports and these are unconfirmed reports. I'm not declaring this as news. There's so much, it's the sheer lack of information alone tells us that alone is either incompetence or cover up, right? But yeah, so shot multiple times potentially, shot first potentially. Seemed like it's, and again, potential possible rumor that her family was informed that she was targeted, at least initially. Well, that being the case, that's more circumstantial, not necessarily evidence, but at least it gives a motive for why there would be a cover-up. I'm not saying the motive for the murder. I'm saying the motive for the murder would be obvious if that is the case. I'm saying the motive for the cover-up because, again, if we're talking about a pro-Palestine, river to the sea, LGBTQIA plus they them type of person who may or may not be, they claim, oh no, totally not that person until we'll see. And I'm not going to name that person, by the way, to be clear, because we really don't have any information, just internet rumors at this point. We do know that person's information was scrubbed. I've been trying to find the timeline because here's what the timeline unconfirmed looks like. It looks as if they started scrubbing the person's information and then people started noticing that the information was being scrubbed, and then that person's was being looked at and even accused by some people online as falsely as being named as a person of interest. This person has not been named as a person of interest at least officially. So that was false. But anyway, point is that then they came out yesterday with a press release saying that they scrubbed the person from their website, Brown University did, because they were being doxxed. But it's, chicken and the egg, right? They claim the not Brown University, the people that are promoting the idea that this could be a person of interest. They're saying that we didn't even know who this guy was until we started scanning and going through archives and determining that they are getting rid of this person's information. So unconfirmed, but it appears as if they were trying to get rid of his information before the data came out. It could be the other way around. Okay, they might be telling the truth. They might be saying, oh, so this person is being talked about online, so we got to get rid. I don't buy it. I'm leaning towards chances are that it's part of the cover-up. But again, I have no data, no confirmed information. So, but Halperin said what he said as far as the family allegedly saying that they were told that she was targeted. If that is the case, if Ella Cook was the target, then you would expect certain things to have happened in regards to this crime. And those things happened. Okay, number one, when was the last time you saw a school shooter that goes in, shoots, and then escapes and disappears? That's not your standard school shooter, you know, modus operandi, right? They usually, a lot of them, they'll just die in a blaze of bullets, suicide by cop, right? Sometimes they take their own lives. Sometimes, they're whatever. They maybe they get captured, but rarely do you see them go in, shoot up a school, and then evade police. That's number one. Number two, this wasn't, generally with random acts of violence, as we're being told this was, when it pertains to school, they pick a spot, they go there and they do their act, right? They commit their act of terrorism, and again, then they usually die there. In this case, what we're being told by the FBI is that this person was casing the joint, right? He was scoping out, checking his steps. They have video of him well before the actual shooting, checking, basically trying to get away with it, figuring out a way to get to that point and to go after possibly a particular person. Then there are the reports from people that were there saying that, yeah, I mean, he had an opportunity to shoot this person. One guy said, I was looking him right in the eye, and he went and started shooting other people instead of me. That's, again, random attacks or attacks of where there's not a target. That's not, easy. They generally pick the easiest targets, right? So all of that pointing, and I'm not even mentioning the whole part about Allahu Akbar, right? There's reports that say as many as 5 people said, "Oh yeah, no, he screamed Allahu Akbar." There was a report from the police yesterday that said that there was no, the way they worded it was weird. There was no credible information about what was said before. We can't confirm it, and either way, it would not point to a motive. They're really trying to downplay that aspect of it. But the part that really gets me, as far as, why I am increasingly believing that this is a conspiracy, a cover-up, again, probably just for the sake of narrative, but it could be bigger. Who knows? We'll see. If we don't get any, if nothing is revealed about this person, if they're not caught here in the next couple of weeks, then I'll say, yeah, this is a big conspiracy. Then we have to start digging into why. Why did it happen? We'll have to dig into the victims, potential victims. We'll cross that bridge if we have to. The big one, something that's been pointed out by a lot of people, we are talking about a school, an Ivy League school, lots and lots of money, lots and lots of technology, 800 cameras that we know of on campus, and yet all we're getting is Ring videos. No, I'm sorry, that's a lie. They had, I think it was one of the, I forgot which I think it might have been I don't even know. I forgot. I don't know what the guy was saying, or I know what he said. I don't know who he was, but he was basically answering the question as why there's no video from the facility itself. He's like, well, there's an older part of the building, which, and then there's a newer part that's got all the technology, but then there's the older part, and that's why we could see the kids running and stuff in the newer part, but we don't have video from the older part of the building. Didn't say that's where the terrorists came through. Didn't specify that. But the part that got me the most was the way that he worded, there are fewer, maybe even no cameras in that part of the building. Okay. Here's the thing. If you're telling us that you don't have video because there's no cameras, then you, as part of law enforcement, would know we don't have video there because there were no cameras in that part. It wouldn't be like there's few and no video. We're trying to get us videos. We're trying to get help from people. Very wishy-washy about it. That tells me that it was a lie. Okay, there's no way that this person, whoever he was, isn't aware of whether or not there were cameras or footage. So there's likely no. You would know if there was cameras. You would know if there was footage. The video that we have had released as of today is, it does give us a lot of information. Even just these Ring cameras and car look like Tesla video or whatever. Even that, it really does give us enough information to where somebody can identify this person. They're offering a $50,000 reward. This person had, it was approximately 5'8", bulky guy, kind of fat, but not so fat that he couldn't run, because there is one video of him running, right? Yeah, but his gait, the way that he walked, it was very, very conspicuous, very, I wouldn't say unique, but it's pretty darn unique. That's, it's one of those things where, there's those people out there where even if you can't see them, even if they're off in the distance, you could tell just by the way they walk, oh, there's Bob, right? That's how this guy walks. This guy has a very distinctive walk, very distinctive gait. And I can't believe that after, on day 4, they still haven't had anybody to identify this person. Incompetence is the best smokescreen for a cover-up, for a conspiracy. If you're trying to cover something up, you don't just say, you don't just give out no information. That's too conspicuous. No, you have to be a clown. You have to do like what they're doing over here. Okay? It's like, okay, go kick around go look over fences, go kick around some snow. We're really digging in here. Got hundreds of people on this case. We're gonna track down this person. Forget about the 800 cameras that should give us all the information that we need. Forget about all of that stuff. Let's look for, just in case he dropped his ID. All right, give me a break. This is all show right there. And that, my friends, is why I would say, again, 30 to 40% chance that what we're looking at is a cover-up. If the data comes out, if we get actual, finally, real breaking news, it is this guy, and he did apparently target Ella Cook. If all that information is finally, and he is arrested, if all that information is revealed late Friday or any time between then and Christmas, then I would say they've known the entire time, or at least most of the time, probably the whole time, because again, don't forget they had that first narrative pop out there, false narrative. So maybe they knew within hours exactly who it was. They were ready to arrest. Maybe they did arrest. I don't think we would know if that person was arrested. But to me, if it comes out in that window, that means that they were trying the wokeness cover-up. They don't want to harm the community, harm the school. They don't want people filled with hate. They don't want to break unity. Because again, we're talking about radical leftists here at the school. And that would be very disappointing if that's the case. Not because I would expect any less from Brown University, but I would expect more. I would expect a stronger show, adherence rather, to the rule of law from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I know, why would you expect that? Because I still fall into the category of trusting that Kash Patel is really trying to fix things. And this being such a high-profile case, if this is a cover-up and they are participating in it, even if it's just to delay the information until Christmas, that's still extremely disappointing.